A nation underwater, Afghanistan's flood catastrophe. The spring of 2024 brought with it a catastrophe for Afghanistan. Torrential rains, far exceeding normal levels, lashed the nation. Rivers overflowed, homes were swept away, lives were lost. This wasn't a gradual rise of water, but a sudden violent deluge that left Afghanistan reeling. The scale of the disaster is immense, affecting a large swathe of the country, particularly the central and northern regions. The floods arrived unexpectedly, leaving communities with little time to prepare, further exacerbating the damage and suffering. This disaster is a stark reminder of the vulnerability of nations like Afghanistan, grappling with ongoing conflict and fragile infrastructure. Deluge in the heartland, ground zero of the floods. The heart of Afghanistan bore the brunt of the devastating floods. Provinces like Baghlan, Badakhshan, Takhar, Ghor and Herat were hit particularly hard. These regions, typically characterized by rugged terrain and mountainous landscapes, were transformed into raging torrents of water. Villages nestled in valleys were inundated, with floodwaters reaching rooftops. Farmlands, vital for the livelihoods of many Afghans, were submerged, wiping out crops and livestock. The floods have left a trail of destruction, washing away homes, roads and bridges, isolating communities and disrupting essential services. The scale of the devastation in these provinces is hard to comprehend. The floods have not only wreaked havoc on the physical landscape, but have also shattered the lives of countless Afghans. Families have been torn apart, homes reduced to rubble, and livelihoods destroyed. The once familiar landscape is now scarred by the unforgiving power of nature, leaving behind a haunting reminder of the flood's destructive force. The human cost, a sea of sorrow. The human cost of the flood disaster in Afghanistan is staggering. Over 330 lives have been lost, swept away by the relentless currents. Many are still missing, their fates uncertain, adding to the anguish of families already grappling with unimaginable loss. The number of displaced families has surged into the thousands. They are now huddled in makeshift shelters, struggling to survive with limited access to food, clean water, and medical aid. The stories emerging from the flood-affected regions are heartbreaking. Parents desperately searching for missing children, families clinging to the wreckage of their homes, and children orphaned by the disaster. The trauma of this event will leave a lasting impact on the mental and emotional well-being of the survivors. The floods have not only claimed lives, but have shattered the fabric of Afghan society, leaving deep scars that will take years to heal. Broken foundations, crumbling infrastructure, and long-term impacts. Beyond the immediate human tragedy, the floods have dealt a crippling blow to Afghanistan's already fragile infrastructure. Roads and bridges have been swept away, cutting off access to remote communities and hindering the delivery of vital aid. Communication networks have been severely disrupted, further isolating affected areas. Hospitals and health centers, already struggling with limited resources, have been damaged or destroyed, severely hampering efforts to provide medical care to the injured and displaced. The destruction of infrastructure has far-reaching consequences. It hinders immediate relief efforts, making it difficult to reach those in desperate need of assistance. The long-term impact is even more profound. Rebuilding damaged infrastructure will require significant time and resources, further straining the nation's already limited capacity. The floods have set back development efforts in Afghanistan, exacerbating existing challenges and hindering the country's path to recovery. A cry for help, rebuilding Afghanistan in the face of disaster. The flood disaster in Afghanistan is a stark reminder of the vulnerability of war-torn nations to natural disasters. Years of conflict have weakened Afghanistan's infrastructure and eroded its capacity to cope with such calamities. The floods have exposed the nation's fragile resilience and underscored the urgent need for international support. Rebuilding Afghanistan requires a concerted effort from the global community. Humanitarian aid is crucial to provide immediate relief to those affected by the floods. Food, clean water, shelter, and medical supplies are urgently needed to alleviate the suffering of the displaced and vulnerable. Beyond immediate relief, long-term investment in rebuilding infrastructure is essential. This includes restoring transportation networks, strengthening communication systems, and supporting the reconstruction of homes and community facilities. The international community must step up and provide the necessary resources and expertise to help Afghanistan recover and rebuild. The floods have created a humanitarian crisis that demands a swift and compassionate response. It is a test of our collective humanity and a call to action to support a nation grappling with an overwhelming disaster.